Hi, I'm attorney Tanya Stewart, your host of the Turning Point Summit. How to use the hardest times in your life to create the exact life you want. And we are so blessed today. We have got Jennifer Elizabeth Masters here today. She's got 3 full names, and I'll say them carefully because she is a powerful woman. I mean, I have to tell you, this is amazing. So I get everybody's bios to read, and I read, I kid you not, from flight attendant to master gardener. Yeah, I know. Like, seriously, from flight attendant to master gardener. When I told you that I was going to bring you experts that have covered all walks of life, I did not mention that Jennifer had covered half of them herself personally. So she's also an author, an empath, a hypnotherapist, certified life coach, mother of 3, master energy healer, and ordained minister. And apparently she's going to be tapped to lead the initiative for world peace any second. But welcome, Jennifer. We're so excited to have
Thank you. Thank you, Tanya.
We are going to have some fun today. Now, you have so many topics. Jennifer's like, Tanya, what do you want to talk about? What do your viewers need to learn about? And she like rattles off this list of topics. And I was like, whatever. We're talking about happiness and sex. I'm picking 2 that everybody is going to want to talk about. But first, please tell me a little bit about how you came to be doing what you are doing right now.
Pain.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Intense pain, suffering, intense pain, depression, illness, insomnia,
Wow.
and a total lack of self-confidence. I looked outside of myself for validation. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel accepted. And I jumped from relationship to relationship. I am the serial monogamous.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want everybody to notice right now all of the authenticity with which she's saying that. She just said this. You're like one of those drug commercials. She just said a list of horrible things. And she said it with this big, giant, glowing smile. So your brain is going, that's a list of horrible things. But you're looking at her beautiful face, and she's got this big smile. Everybody, this is what happens when you've gotten past your turning point. When you're on the other side of it, you can actually joke and laugh about the crazy person that you used to be. You don't actually have to hide it because you're not ashamed of it because you use those hard times to get here. Perfect. Okay, so you were this person that everybody identifies with right now. When did this stop? What happened? When did you hint, 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 get the turning point, hint, hint, hint?
Okay, so mine was at the end of my 3rd marriage. I'm
a divorce lawyer, and I just have to have a moment of silence for that. Just
I could have made you tons of money.
Dang it! Ah! She's like a recidivist divorcer. Okay, end of the 3rd marriage.
So the end of my 3rd marriage, I sat down and I created this relationship matrix with the names of my significant partners on one side and the criteria or events that happened in each relationship. And I checked off all the commonalities and I went, holy, can I say it?
Yes.
Holy shit. I am the common denominator in all these relationships. I am the one.
It's me. It's me.
I have to stop blaming everybody else. And when I stopped blaming everyone else, I started taking responsibility not only for my happiness, not only for love, but also for my health.
Oh, wow. You know what you just said? You actually just said a bad word. Shit is not a bad word here on my summit. You said responsibility. There are more people you will scare off saying responsibility than you will saying a curse word. You took responsibility. You saw something that I coach on. I tell people it's the pattern, not the people. You spotted your pattern. You saw the pattern, and then you had to own it. Once you see your own pattern, you're the only person that kept showing up. Everybody else was different. But it was
Right.
you in every relationship doing the same things. That was brave.
It does take courage. Self-introspection takes courage.
Yes.
And that's what I really started to do. I mean, I'd been sick, I'd had fibromyalgia, I'd had an autoimmune disease, and I have heard, countless times, well, I have fibromyalgia for life. I'm sorry, not true.
Oh, can
Not
I raise
true.
my hand? I actually heard you say had, and I wanted to cut in right there and say, she said had. Did everybody hear that? She said had, as in past tense, as in she's not owning it as her current story. Jennifer, you're amazing. Just
Thank you.
that alone, people, I tell people writer downers, that is a writer downer. Please do not use the current tense of something going on with you that you don't want to continue going on with you. Had. Oh my gosh, you're huge. How did you get past fibromyalgia? Everybody's so scared of that one. That's the big F.
Well, and the interesting thing is that I actually met a man this summer who had fibromyalgia, and it's the first man because it's typically a female's
Yeah,
disease.
yeah,
It's about low self-esteem. When you start loving yourself,
yeah.
accepting yourself, all that stuff goes away. My depression
Oh,
went away, my insomnia went away,
wow.
my illness went away. I had breast cancer, and
Oh my
that
gosh.
too is from us giving too much to others and not enough to ourselves. It's from lack of self-nurturing, being a people pleaser, and how many women are people pleasers?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You are
And
just,
well, we have to start speaking up for what we want. And we
yes.
often in relationships, and I see me still doing it. I recently had a date with a man, and I didn't say, listen, I'm tired. I need to go to bed.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're so, oh my God, the transparency here. People, are you paying attention? Owning your stuff. It doesn't make you weak to say how you feel. Women especially are indoctrinated with this, keep the emotions out of it, back up with the emotions, everybody's going to be bothered. It is actually intensely very attractive to a man to be with a woman who owns her emotions without drama. And
Well,
so,
and not only that, you may have somebody say something to you on a date
mhm,
that you don't resonate with.
yes.
And there's nothing wrong with you saying, well, that's your opinion, but I don't believe that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I have no problem with that. And I also have no problem with somebody saying to me, well, I don't disagree, I don't agree with what you're saying. I like, I don't take it personally. And that's what
Ah,
self-realization does. You
ah,
stop taking things personally.
personally.
And where does self-realization come from? Self-love. So self-love leads to self-realization,
Mhm.
enlightenment, and blissful living.
Oh my God! See, well, you said it, and I'm proud of you, by the way, for just going ahead and saying that you believe the origin of illnesses and dis-ease in the body, like fibromyalgia, is that low self-love, that low self-esteem. Because there's so many people who are scared to just say what they know. Like, just because you're saying you know it doesn't mean that you need the AMA to sign off on it. You know it. It changed your life, and now you're speaking and teaching and preaching to us from your knowing. And that's so powerful.
I had a doctor once tell me that I read too much.
No, no, no. No, Jennifer, no, he didn't say that. Come on. You stop
Sure.
educating yourself so much, young lady.
Oh, I have something to share.
Okay.
So I had a tumor on my hip,
Hmm.
and I really didn't want to have a scar on my hip.
Yeah.
So I mean, I scheduled to have this tumor removed, and the surgeon had me, ready to go. It was, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks or 6 weeks in advance. And I can't even remember at the time what was going on because this was many years ago. And it was really before I started conscious manifestation, which I do now and teach now. But when I came to the place of laying on that operating table, he couldn't find the tumor. Between the scheduling of it and my surgery, I had healed it. Gone.
I completely believe you. I think I told on another interview my story about I had an infection in a dental implant I had, and they scheduled it. They're gonna have to rip it back out. It would take another year, and I told the dentist I was gonna heal it before I came back for him to do it. And he goes, "Well, I'm scheduling the surgery." I said, "You can schedule whatever you want. I'm gonna heal it." And I did, and they actually had me numb and everything. I'm literally
Wow.
saying, "Oh, well, what am I mouth?" I mean, I'm just like, "Look at the X-ray." And he looked at the X-ray, and he just blew out with the F-bomb because he's like, "Wait a second, that can't be right." So I know what you're talking about. I feel that resonance, and for anybody who's listening right now, if this is making sense to you, don't discredit it. Don't discredit it at all. We're designed to be self-healing. We
We
really are.
are. We are, as a matter of fact, and I have a lot of women come to me with breast cancer, or they've had breast cancer and they're coming to me after, because the core of all disease begins with a thought and then an emotion.
Yes.
That's where disease begins. So if you get your cancer removed but don't change the thought patterns, don't remove the emotions, guess what happens? You haven't changed your behavior. You haven't changed the emotion. The emotion's still there. So you're going to get it back again. So that's what I help people do.
That is huge. Okay, everybody, that's a writer downer, because a lot of you see that with people where they're sick and they get better and then they get sick again, and they're just in this cycle where there's just this illness and then this illness and this illness, and even though they keep recovering, they keep getting sick. That makes perfect sense. If you're not actually addressing the root cause, and we believe that all creation starts with thought, and that's powered by the emotion and the energy you put with it. If you're not addressing the root cause, like Jennifer is saying, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Can I just teach something? I just came through.
Yeah.
So our thymus is right here. It's located like right
We
beneath
thump it. We thump it.
So 12 times
Okay.
every day. And what it does is it jump starts your immune system.
I'm not gonna let that was like too tiny, because this is a big deal, because I actually read this and found this somewhere, and I actually did have a cold, and I've been thumping to help up my immune system. What she is telling you is really important. It's like a little reset button for your immune system, for lack of a better term. You want to go ahead and thump that. You can thump it every day to keep yourself just robust, but if you're sick or you're compromised, you're going through something, it's really important for you to do what she says on that. And thank you for the number, because I did not know the number. God, Jennifer, you're so, look at this. You see, this is why on the Turning Point Summit, we just kind of let ourselves go where the universe is taking us, because we just find gold. I mean, I'm talking and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at you, and I have to tell you, you're gorgeous. It's so rare for women to just flat compliment other women, but you're gorgeous, you're glowy, and you're happy. So come on, you got to spill. Where's all this happiness coming from?
Okay, well, now I have to just say, I just came back last night from a 10-day trip to Boulder, Colorado, and Sedona, and I drove the whole way by myself there and back. So I'm actually not at my best today. I just got back last night from Sedona, and I didn't get a lot of sleep, but here's the thing. If we're happy with ourselves, if we're happy with our life, and we take responsibility and focus on us instead of what our mate is doing or not doing, then we begin to live life with less stress. A lot of women come to me with deep anxiety, fear-ridden, lots of worry. And why? Because they're micromanaging everyone in their life. And we are all, every one of us is having our own experience. So we have to allow our partners to have their own experience. Our children, now I'm not saying don't discipline or don't course correct. I'm not saying that. But everyone's having their own experience. My daughter recently moved in with a boy about 6 months ago. And I said to her, she moved out of her dorm where she's going to school. And I said, what happens if you break up?
Right.
You're not going to have a place to live. Well, guess what happened? He broke up with her. And now she called me crying hysterically, Mom, now I have no place to go and he doesn't love me anymore.
Oh, ouch.
So I'm going to give a mantra to everyone today, because this is a mantra reprograms the mind. So when you're going through something stressful like a breakup and you feel he doesn't love me anymore, and then you feel bad, you feel less than. So what I did was I gave my daughter a mantra. I am loved.
I'm loved.
I am loved. And there's two more parts to it.
Okay.
I am safe.
I am safe.
I am secure.
I am secure.
So I am loved.
I am loved.
I am safe.
I am safe.
I am secure.
I am secure.
Now I'm going to ask you, Tanya, how did that feel in your body saying that?
Oh my gosh. You know, it felt warm, and I felt the word is more like settled. Like I felt like it's like I have like very bouncy energy. My energy came down a notch, and it just felt like it kind of hugged around me. That's very nice. That felt very comforting. It's like a blanket from the dryer or something.
Which is really awesome. So let me tell you what it did for my daughter. So day one, hysteria,
Yeah.
hysteria. So I gave her the mantra, and she goes, "Oh, okay, mom." Day two, she went to work crying,
Yeah.
and she had a heart. They moved her to the back, so nobody could see her. You know, she's a beautiful girl, and she's got purple hair, so she sort of stands out. And she had 5 of the 7 people she worked with offer her a place to stay.
Wow. That's just like, yeah, moment of silence on that one. Everybody, this is actually how the universe works. These are not, when you're listening to these things, you're tempted to think that these are exceptions. It's easy to believe it. Well, Jennifer can do it because Jennifer is this master and she's been everything, including a gardener, so she can pull it off. And Tanya's a coach and a lawyer, so she can do it. But Jennifer's purple-haired daughter who moved in with her boyfriend did it. This
Right.
should give you all hope. You don't
She's
have
19.
She's 19. Okay, so she's 19. She knows everything. So she if a
Yes.
19-year-old can do this, you're pretty much out of reasons why you can't make
Right.
the effort. Take this mantra. This is an awesome tool. The summit's about giving people tools. Take that tool and give it just the willingness. Even if you're sitting here and mantras aren't something you've done, you don't have to be 100% gung-ho. You just have to be a little willing. Just see what shows up for you. Wow.
Well, let me tell you what a mantra does.
Okay.
And don't take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for anything. Do your own due diligence.
Okay.
Do your own research. A mantra makes the brain waves congruent. In other words, slower. It slows the brain waves instead of spiky worry and stressful brain waves. And literally, that's the way the brain waves look when you're stressed and anxious.
Right.
But congruency slows the brain waves down and it feels good.
That makes sense. Well, what was I just describing with my energy? Remember, I'm very
Yes.
bouncy. I have like a Tigger kind of energy, and oh my gosh,
You do.
I do. And if I'm like coaching or I'm doing something, I'm just excited, and I pull that mantra in, and that was my description. It's smoothed. It softened and curved and smooth. So that was instantaneous. That was what I just felt sitting on a camera in an office. So, you know, if you
Perfect.
actually put effort into this, or I won't say effort, if you put your energy into it.
And presence.
Presence, thank you. Thank you. That's a better word. Put your presence into it. Do it with presence. That's a good way to say that. Then yeah, expect an outcome. Expect something good. Doesn't have to be something specific, but expect something good.
I have another segue for you.
Okay.
Speaking of presence,
Ooh.
one of the things that leads to anxiety and stress is not being present. And when we're not present, we're not in our body. And we may be focused on what we didn't do, what we haven't done, or maybe even what we've done in the past.
Right.
Or we're focused on, will he love me tomorrow? Will he leave me tomorrow? Will I have enough money tomorrow for my rent?
Right.
All of those things in the future. So those two things take our energy out of the present and make us anxious. So being present just takes breath. All you have to do is breathe. So take a deep breath, a slow inhalation, breathing in, filling your lungs fully, all the way up to the top. And then as you exhale, slowly exhale, and just notice shoulders relaxing as you exhale. Take another inhalation. And as you breathe in, your body feels pulled into the present, grounded. Exhale slowly.
I feel expanded. And again,
But-
that calming energy. That very, very, almost like, yeah, it's like a tethering back to where you are. I noticed that about myself. I don't know if anybody has my type of my normal energy before I really trained myself to have more feminine energy. If I'm working, boy, I slip into my masculine energy and I'm doing. My shoulders are up like earrings around my ears, you know, and I have to catch myself because I'll literally be working really hard on something and I'm not breathing. Like I'm just not breathing. Like I'm taking little sips of air, like suddenly air is not free, you know, and so it always helps for me to, if once I notice my shoulder creep, is to do that and get that belly breath whereby your belly is expanding and falling with the breath instead of your shoulders rising.
Another thing about breath is that it affirms life. Breathing deeply affirms life. And if we're not breathing deeply, we are not expanding our lungs. And when we get into our golden years, breathing could be difficult. You may end up with COPD. Nobody wants to be walking around Walmart with an oxygen mask on, right?
I will, yeah, see, I always call myself out. So now I guess I'll call out my family. You know, my dad has a number of health conditions, and I was just down visiting them in Dallas. And one of the things that I was teaching my dad was the true breathing, because we tend to breathe upside down. We breathe at the top of our lungs, which if you know the shape of a lung lobe, it's very tiny up there. And the bottom, it's big fat lobe. You get like 10 times more blood flow at the bottom of the lung. So if you are having any issue where you need oxygen, he's got issues where he's not breathing well and he has sleep apnea and heart issues, especially heart people. Your blood isn't oxygenated. You need to breathe deeply. So for you younger people or people my age, start learning to breathe now. Just cut that out. Bottom. I'm just so happy. You're just brilliant. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you really are just kind of a nice living model of what happiness looks like. Now, can you tell me, this just pops in my head, so I'm going to ask the question. For people who aren't used to being happy, what does it feel like in your body?
An orgasm?
Wow! Oh, wow! I saw this little smile, so I thought something's coming here. Jennifer's about to say something. Bam! Wow!
So I'm happy. You know, it's interesting because I was just thinking about this. I was sad to leave my daughter.
Okay.
But it was a brief moment. Mm-hmm. And then when I got on the road, it's like, okay, boy, it's beautiful here. And so I settled into the trip. Okay. So I was happy with the trip. And then I got to Sedona. It's like, wow, you know, more beautiful. Met a new friend there. So when you're happy no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you are with. And part of that has to be connected with, well, breath, but being in the present moment.
Right. Oh my goodness. Now what can we do? So if we find ourselves distracted or unhappy or getting what I call spinny, getting really spinny where we're stuck on a thought and we can't let it go, we need to breathe. What else can we do to make ourselves more present in our present moment and attached to our bodies right now?
So take little steps. Focus on what is in front of you right now. Rather than looking at the huge project or, oh gosh, I have to write this whole book, why don't you just look at, okay, today I'm going to write out the chapters that I'm going to write in this book. Or today I'm going to focus on answering emails. Or you just take a little bite, a bite-sized piece rather than a big chunk, and just connect one little bite to the next little bite. So instead of looking at the whole picture, whereas, you know, I could have been leaving my daughter in Colorado, and this was the day before the breakup, and be devastated that I wouldn't see her for who knows how long. Instead, it's like, I know I'll see you soon. Yeah. So you always look at the positive side. Right. Stay in the positive. Instead of complaining about what is bad, look at what's good. Mm-hmm. When we start turning our attention to what is good, whatever you focus on is going to expand anyway. So you really want the good to expand rather than the negative.
Well, I heard you say something that I want everybody to pay attention to. You know, she said to do your breathing, and then she said take little bites. And I really do see that in my clients. When they're spinning, when they're stuck, they have invariably gotten some huge thing. How am I going to save my marriage? That is not a little bite.
No,
How am I
it's not.
going to lose 35 pounds? That is not a little bite. You know, my boss is pressuring me. I'm scared about losing my job. Not a little bite. A little bite would be, I can drink 2 more glasses of water today. Or I can get that report that my boss is looking for. I can get at least the next report out early. I can do one little thing. So it's super important when she's telling you to do it. It gives you a feeling of mastery and a feeling of control over what's going on around you.
There's a lot of little things that we can do to be happier in our daily life, like starting right now.
Okay.
And this is going to sound like the opposite of freedom, but I'm here to tell you
Okay.
that if you don't have self-discipline, you won't be happy. So being consistent, showing up on time,
Right.
getting up at the same time every day, going to bed at the same time. So you're taking care of yourself, getting enough rest.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we stay up too late,
Mm-hmm.
then we wake up and we're grumpy.
Right.
So it's like it's a cascade effect. One thing makes the next thing better.
Right.
So going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, having some sort of schedule, making sure that you eat breakfast before you leave the house,
Yeah.
rather than running off and not eating,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're not fueling your body. So all of these things help you to feel better. And I can hear in the background somebody saying, well, how can that make me happy?
I was gonna say it. Someone is sitting here going, well, these are just things and they're not that important, and the things that are it's easy for you to do, it's also easy for you to not do. Wow.
But
We get
these
better.
small steps, I mean, I used to be the flakiest person, and I would have difficulty going to bed on time. I had a lot of fears, and then I'd wake up and I'd lay awake and I'd be anxious in the night, and then I'd kind of be behind the 8 ball because I'd sleep in and then I'd be rushing and then I couldn't find my keys.
Right.
And so my day would just start off with one bad thing after another. So why not reverse that spiral and make it go upward instead of down?
I like that. I like that. Okay, so anybody who's listening, I'm really going to challenge you to implement these simple things. Honestly, most of the wisdom in the world that's true is actually very simple, and it's our ego that wants to make it complicated. So if you're listening to her right now, and some part of you is thinking, that needs to be harder. I'm waiting for her to tell me the secret to happiness, and it needs to be something other than what I can do easily. You're on the wrong track.
Well, the other thing is saying yes instead of no. When you start saying yes instead of no, and that leads me to sex.
Thank you.
How often do we end up being the bitches and saying no, and then we lay there and can't sleep and wonder, well, geez, if I'd had sex and said yes,
Yeah.
I'd probably be asleep right now.
That's a good point. That's really a good point. Now I'm going to ask you the question that I have to play devil's advocate for everybody. What about when you're just not in the mood? I mean, are you saying yes when you're not in the mood? What are you doing with that? You're
Well, I
tired.
don't know about you, but I'm very rarely in the mood. I have to get my energy up to be in the mood. And a lot of women are that way.
Oh my God,
Uh,
stop. That was the most important thing. I really want everybody who's hearing to listen to this. You're probably thinking there's something the matter with you, or you're just this outlier because you're not usually in the mood. Did you hear what she just said? And look how juicy and flowy she is. And if she's rarely in the mood, then damn it, we've all got permission to not be in the mood on a regular basis. So we actually have to make an affirmative choice. Is that what you're saying?
well, I like to look at women as diesel engines and men as Ferraris. And whether you're gay or straight, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But women need time for their engine to warm up.
Okay.
And we're not wired like men, where men could watch a movie and be turned on, right?
Yep.
Or they see a picture, somebody else, and then look at you and go, okay, let's go.
Right.
And we're not wired that way. So if we can just warm up to the idea, say yes, and just practice a few times. Let me say yes instead of no.
Wow.
But you have to ask for the foreplay, because women need 20 to 40 minutes to get there, where men, we know, can get there in a lot less.
Wait a second. So, this is awesome. Once again, I'm repeating this because this is super important. If you're sitting out there, and the only reason I know this is because I had a client who was having a lot of sexual challenges, and I had to research this, and I did not know that, an average woman, if she's masturbating, it takes 20 something plus minutes. And I was like, wow, this is information that women should have. You might be thinking there's something the matter with you because you're watching these movies, and these women are just, a man looks at them and they're just ready to go. They're right there. 20
That's a movie.
40 minutes of foreplay. Thank you, Jennifer, for giving us permission to want what we need. Wow.
And that's the thing, is that I was raised in Canada, and I've noticed that American men in particular seem to want to skip the foreplay. And I don't know what it is, but foreplay is important. And if we deserve to have an orgasm just as much as our partner does. So the foreplay is part of what gets us into that place where it raises our energy enough so that we can have an orgasm. And it may not happen through penetrative sex. It may need to be oral sex or a digital, stimulation.
Now, and I've read too that a lot of women actually do not orgasm easily from penetrative sex. That they actually do need some other type of external stimulation to have an orgasm. Is that something you're familiar with? Or?
Oh, yes, and that's something I wrote about in my book, Orgasm for Life. It's absolutely, it is true of most women. There are some women that can think themselves into orgasm, and that's an amazing feat, but most women need stimulation, direct stimulation. And unless the G-spot is being stimulated, and that requires at least 20 minutes of arousal before the G-spot is even in evidence.
Wow, so we got our 20 minutes to basically get our G-spot primed and ready to take the stimulus, and
Right.
then of course we would need direct stimulus on the spot.
Right.
And at this point, you're talking 25, 30 minutes, and all the men are done. So
They're done.
Yeah, wow. I mean, but this makes sense. This is very logical to me. I mean, how is it that we could explain this to a partner? Like if you're sitting down here and you've got one of those American men, and he's been raised on the diet of,
2 minutes.
I'm ready, women are ready, and there we go.
Well, we need to ask for what we want and lovingly guide them, whether it's with a hand or whether we talk about it outside the bedroom so that they don't feel angry or upset, and then not point fingers and explain it's not their fault, that this is the way we are wired. It isn't that they don't turn us on, it's that we need more time.
Yeah,
rather than blame them.
Rather than blame, because I really think I speak for many women about that feeling of feeling either guilty that you're taking too long,
right,
feeling like you need to rush. I think that leads to the tendency of women to want to fake an orgasm because you got all this, this is taking too long, I'm ruining it for him.
Right. And that's the thing, is that if we put our pleasure on the back burner, that's not good, because you'll end up like I did. I was pretty angry after years of not having an orgasm. And then, you can also masturbate while you're having sex, and do it yourself if you feel confident enough to do so. And a lot of men are just fine with that.
Okay.
But I think most men feel they want to give to us.
Yeah.
So we have to teach them how. And how do you teach them how? You need to know what feels good for you. You need to know where to touch. So explore your own body, know your own body. And when you do, then you can show him.
Wow, okay. Now what about if I'm a guy and I'm listening and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is new information for me. I had no clue that it took my woman so long. What can he do to make things better if he is a woman that's not given him this information?
Well, slow things down. Rather than thinking that just because she's wet, she's ready to go. That's one of my catch-all phrases. Just because she's wet does not mean she's ready to go.
Yeah.
That women need to really be stimulated to the place where they're almost breathless. And
Wow.
then you can have penetrative sex. But if you begin before that point, then she won't be ready. So just lubrication is not necessarily a sign of enough stimulation.
You just said write her down right there. You know, this is don't write this one down where the kids can see it, but that's a writer downer that the lubrication is not a sign that you're energetically and emotionally ready to have sex and receive and let your body kind of open up for orgasm.
Right.
Wow. This is just exciting. Now tell me, what do you have any tidbits about oral sex? How can we're just going there. I'm having a good time.
Okay. Well, here's the thing with oral sex. I think that most of us have this programming. Been about the men for centuries.
Yeah.
And so getting out of our head
Mhm.
and keep bringing your mind back to the pleasure. Instead of thinking about, oh gosh, I better hurry up, because if you're thinking about hurrying up,
Right.
you're thinking about the future, you're not in the present.
There
You've
it is.
got to be in the present.
Right.
So being in the present does not mean worrying about whether the kids are going to come in. Lock that bedroom door. And if you don't have a lock on it, get one.
Good job.
And that's number one, women with children, put a lock on that door. Because the thought and fear that someone's going to walk in on you, it could really disturb your pleasure. So keep bringing your mind back to the pleasure. And if he's in this place that you're going to get there, let him know. Keep that up. Don't stop. Give him some positive affirmation.
Positive.
Let him know he's doing a good job. We all need to know when we're on point with whatever it is we're doing, right?
That's true. Oh my God. Okay, so I am, and for the viewers, I just hope that you have my personal interest because I'm getting my questions answered. What about multiple orgasms? If you hear about it, like what? Tell me something about that. I'm curious. I'll call myself out. I am not one of the beneficial group that's sitting having multiple orgasms. So what? Tell me something. What should we know?
Okay, so a multiple orgasm can occur when you are in an uninhibited place. And I will say that my first one happened when I had a little bit of green. This is because I was raised by a very uptight mother, and so I was very inhibited, and that kind of got me beyond my inhibitions.
Gotcha.
And that's totally a personal thing, but that could help. I don't recommend getting drunk. A glass of wine, though, could help you relax
Relax.
enough. But being present, being relaxed, not worrying about anything else, and having an internal, like a G spot orgasm rather than a clitoral orgasm, generally shuts down the show. Most of us have a clitoral orgasm and we go, ah, don't touch me, don't
Right,
touch
right,
me,
right, right. I'm done.
right?
I'm done. Yeah. Done.
So if you have an internal orgasm instead, like a G-spot orgasm,
Okay.
or at the very, very back, the very deepest part of the vagina you can have an anterior orgasm or even a cervical, like there's a lot of sensitivity back there.
Wow.
So it could be a different type of orgasm, but when you just allow yourself to experience pleasure and continue to be stimulated, that's when it happens.
Wow. And I think that's probably the stopping point is that it's the clitoral orgasm and it's like, okay, now I'm overstimulated, back off, stop, 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 stop. Okay.
Well, and see, after actually you've had a clitoral orgasm, that would be a really good time to have your G spot stimulated, because a lot of women can't even find their G spot, never mind have the man find it, but it is in the it's on the upper wall, so going towards the belly button, but only about an inch and a half inside the vagina on the
It's not
upper
very
wall.
far.
No. And actually, pressure on the abdomen on the outside while the man is inside you in that area can really heighten pleasure.
Wow. Okay, that's another writer downer in the secret book. Oh my gosh. What? Now you
It's a
understand the
good thing you
range?
don't have a turtleneck on, Tanya. You-
I'm just sitting here. My eyebrows are open. What do you think about women who find that they can't have an orgasm? Where do they need to start if they're stuck? Where's their place to start?
Okay, nothing's broken because for the longest time, I years and years and years. I mean, after that experience in Canada, I had a dry spell, no orgasms at all. And the only way I would was through clitoral stimulation. So learn how to stimulate yourself through your clitoris. And there is a place, it's on, let's see, I'm trying to think. It's about 11 o'clock on the clitoris, and lots of women don't know where that is. I have a blog. It's Jennifer Elizabeth Masters at blogspot.com. And I have lots of information, and I actually have an article about it's about the clitoris and where to stimulate, and so you can look back through there, and it gives you really good instructions. But knowing your body and allowing yourself to pleasure yourself first, then you're going to be able to allow someone else to do it. But a lot of women are afraid to masturbate.
The client that I was speaking with, she found that she could only have an orgasm if she was masturbating while reading erotica. And
okay, that brings me to a really great point.
okay, here we go.
Okay, so the clitoris we know is a very sensitive organ, correct?
Yes.
But so is the brain.
Yay.
So we have to turn on the brain, and whatever makes you excited, think about it. So if you have a fantasy, now just because you have a fantasy does not mean that that's something you want to do necessarily, but it may be something, and I'm going to share a secret. I have this fantasy of being watched, but that's not something that I want, but it's a fantasy. It turns my brain on. So thinking about whatever turns your brain on at the time will help you get there.
That's awesome. So she doesn't have to feel guilty about reading the erotica or she feels like it's a crutch.
Oh, well, actually, your brain is amazing. And you could watch erotica movies and that, erotic, it could help that way too. But then once you have those images in your brain, just use your brain. Think of a fantasy.
There you go. Yeah, replay the movie that you've already put in your head. Oh my goodness. Is there, in your opinion, a link between happiness and our sex life?
Absolutely. Because the core of who we are is our sexuality. Yeah. And if our sexuality is suppressed or turned off, then we're not living vitally. We are actually barely living. Wow. And, even when I'm not in a partnership, I am pleasuring myself. And I enjoy it. I mean, it's interesting. My mother is 94 years old, and she says she still misses sex.
Awesome.
So it is the core of who we are, and if we're suppressing our sexuality, we're not living fully.
Oh my goodness.
And now there are some that, my Christian beliefs or whatever religious beliefs, but to be honest with you, who created sex in the first place? It was God. So, right?
Yeah, he made
so
it.
There should be no shame about it.
He made it too pleasurable to be bad. I mean, seriously, this is not a good setup. I'm going to make this feel really good. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's really good. Don't do it. Don't do it.
No.
So, yeah.
No, exactly.
Oh my gosh. This is
awesome. You
awesome.
were meant to experience pleasure.
Look at you. Now tell me, I'm dying to know. So we have a gift from you. So what is our gift? Where do you want us to go? What do you want to share with our viewers who've gone on this awesome journey with you today?
Okay. Well, it's right in alignment with what we've been talking about. It's called Happiness Jumpstart. Okay. And with this Happiness Jumpstart, I have a 3-part series, and I am giving you the first audio. It's a whole hour,
Oh, good.
and it involves energy clearing, so it will clear trapped emotions that are
Okay.
blocking you from feeling happiness. It will clear beliefs that could be blocking you from, I don't believe that I could ever be happy. Whatever it is that's blocking you, it will get that out of the way.
Wow.
And then I also run you through all the things you need to do right now to start being happy.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I mean, obviously, see, this is the trick. The proof is in the pudding. You always, if you're going to get a coach, you know, and Jennifer here is a master coach, please make sure you get a coach who is good at the thing that you need help in. So if she's going to help you with happiness, look at her. I mean, just look at her. I mean, that's just like, there it is. Proof of concept right there, you know?
Well, something I want to add, Tanya, is people come to me looking for love. And usually the first thing they say is, I want a relationship because then I'll be happy.
Oh, I know where this is going. Go ahead. Go there. Tell them.
Okay, so if you're unhappy with you and
Yes.
you get into a relationship, you will blame your partner.
Yes.
You have to be happy with you to be happy in a relationship. The relationship will not fix you. You can't, that's way too much responsibility to put on that other person. You are responsible for your happiness. It isn't money, it isn't a BMW, it isn't a better job, and it's not losing 30 pounds that will bring you happiness. It's choosing to be happy right now, and you can do it.
Oh
I
my
did it.
gosh, that's really powerful. Like I really want someone to just that hit somebody somewhere in your heart and you actually heard that. Maybe you technically heard it before, but it just transitioned from your heart, from your head to your heart. Did you hear that? You cannot be currently unhappy and then add an external condition like a relationship and have that make some kind of magic alchemy that makes you happy. You have to start with happiness from here. And then what it says in the Bible, and all things are added unto you. All the things that are the same as that will be added unto you. That's brilliant. Jennifer, you're brilliant. Oh my God. I promise you people, I was just like, I just want to talk about happiness and sex and we're going to see how this works out. And she's just on it. I got to thump my thymus. She's on it. She's telling us what we need to know. She told us about happiness. She told us about sex. She told us what to do if we're stuck on sex. Oh my gosh. If you need more of her, please seek her out. If she apparently coaches on, so you coach on sex, you coach on love. What do you coach on?
Manifestation, love, sex, relationships, addiction.
Addiction. See, look at you. I promise you, the thing with coaches is there's a billion of us and there is no competition.
No, there is not.
Whoever is resonating with Jennifer right now is Jennifer's.
There's one other thing I want to make a point about.
Yes.
That our journey, whatever, every single person on this planet has had some sort of trauma.
Yes.
And for me, my trauma was in my childhood. I had sexual molestation. There are millions of us out there that have either been raped or molested. And those issues, and I recently worked with a woman who was raped when she was 22. She's my age. And so for all this time, she's been a victim. So that's one of the things that I help people with too, is victimization, victimhood, sexual molestation, because you feel broken, lost, and shameful. So I help get rid of all of that stuff.
Oh my, that is so neat. I have goosebumps. That is so needed. That is so needed. I mean,
It's very powerful work.
you're blessed. And
Thank
you're a blessing to us today. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us here on the
Thank
Turning
you, Tom.
Point. I told you I wanted tools and you delivered. I told you I wanted content, you delivered. I said I wanted to talk about sex and you delivered. You're awesome. I'm really, really, really excited to have talked with you today, and I'm so happy to share you with everybody watching.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you
you,
very
dear.
much.
All right. Bye.